Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So a new year has dawned, 2022, and I thought that it would be really interesting to set sort of the scene for another year, to connect in with someone who I've been friends with on social media. Sandra Longo is her name, and she's one of the most inspirational, positive, health-oriented people that I've met. She's got a long career in municipal relations with different telecommunications company, but she also launched her own charity, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And she's got a really interesting attitude about resilience in life, about I think she calls it pro-age, not against ageism, but against pro-age. And she's posted this fascinating couple of posts on a little bit of silver coming into her hair that she calls her champagne hair. So it's a real pleasure for me to introduce you tonight to Sandra Longo. Sandra, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Brian. Thank you very, very much for having me. I'm super excited and honored that you chose me today.
Well, it's you that we're pleased to meet, because I think that you really are a very inspirational person, and a lot of your posts on social media are uplifting, and so thank you for that. So let's start with Navy Charities. What is it, and how did you get into it? I think you've got quite a compelling story in that regard.
Well, thank you for asking. It's actually the name's Navy Street Charity for Persons with Disabilities, and what we do is we donate portable wheelchair ramps right across the province of Ontario to people who need them. How I started the charity actually was back in 2016. I made a decision that I wanted to impact the world in a positive way, and I found a solution that could help a lot of people that needed the help. I was raised by a paraplegic. When I was a young child, my mother was paralyzed, and our home was no longer wheelchair accessible. And we needed to find another way to get our mother in and out of our home. And we used a portable wheelchair ramp to navigate a couple stairs. So in 2016, I decided that I wanted to do something better with my life. We all have to work for a living, but I asked myself better quality questions, saying what was my purpose, what was it that I felt truly passionate about, and it was really about helping people and how I could help others. So I implemented Navy Street Charity. I took all of the hard work that I learned working in a fast-paced telecommunication company, took all of the skills that I learned there, and asked myself really important questions, from like, how do I get from point A to point B? How do I start a charity and actually implement it? And lo and behold, in 2016, I was able to launch Navy Street Charity, and the public really has embraced it with open arms. I think it's because people love true stories, and Navy Street is cultivated from a true story. I'm just not a woman who decided to start a charity. I actually truly believe in what our charity does, and I actually live it every day, because I do have a mother who is a complete paraplegic that is paralyzed from the waist down, and really has an issue getting in and out of locations. And Navy Street, what it does is it allows people to be with loved ones. Really, this world is never going to be completely accommodating to individuals that live with mobile disabilities. However, together we can talk about it, we can make it better. And that's really what Navy Street's about, is we donate portable wheelchair ramps to people who need them, but we also talk about it. And I've been really passionate about educating the next generation. I think children are the architects of our future. So I wrote a children's book actually that talks about helping thy neighbor, and the little innocent things that you can do to help other people. And that's what Navy Street's about. It's sort of like spreading goodness throughout Ontario.
What a fascinating, wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that. How is your mom today?
She's great. She's a lovely woman. I was really privileged to be raised by someone who has gone through so much in their life. It really teaches you, when you're surrounded by people that overcome major obstacles. That's where I'm really blessed. I have a mother that teaches me not to allow barriers to stop me.
I understand that it was caused by a medical accident.
Yes, unfortunately, many years ago, approximately 38 years ago, when I was very young, my mother, right before Christmas, had gone into the hospital to deliver a baby, and she was paralyzed by an epidural. Actually, it was a medical accident at that time, and my mother never walked again. She has no feeling or movement from the rib cage down. She had 3 children at home already. I was one of them. We were all under the age of 8 years old. And now she had a newborn baby, and she came home into our household, into our home, and she didn't have the ability to navigate it. Something that we all take for granted, just being able to walk up, your front step, or to access, just to sit on the Chesterfield. It was something that she could no longer do. So I was raised really, and I grew up in an environment where I was helping her all day and helping her to care for the child and the newborn baby, and just helping her adapt. And I think it really teaches you when you're young how to be empathetic, how to resonate with other people, to realize that the world is not always sunshine and roses, and there are some really bad things that can happen to really good people.
What a story. I can't imagine coming home from the hospital thinking you're going to come home with a baby and come home a paraplegic. How was her attitude?
It was hard for a really, really long time. I think that my mom pulled herself together because she had 3 young children. We were all under the age of 8 at home when this happened. It was Christmas time. And I think as a mother, you pull yourself together. You're sort of the hierarchy of the family. And my mother did her very, very best to pull herself together. But what was really pivotal and really impacted me as a child watching this at Christmas time, and it's ironic that we're talking about this right at this time of year actually, is the first Christmas when my mom came home from the hospital and was learning to adapt to her new world. In essence, she was isolated in our own home. She couldn't easily get in and out of our steps or our front door. Our neighbors used to have a Christmas party across the street every year, Brian, and we were always invited. In the first year that my mother was paralyzed, we were also invited, but it was different. All of a sudden, snow was trapped in my mother's wheels of her wheelchair as she was entering into this home that wasn't ours. A lot of people had to move out of the way. People tried to chip in and lift my mother physically up a couple of the steps to get in. My father was completely embarrassed. My mother was embarrassed and didn't really know how to handle all of the emotions that she was feeling. It was a celebratory time. It's Christmas. After that experience, I think my parents retrieved, and after that, every Christmas after that, we really stopped going places because it was a big ordeal. It was really challenging, not only for my mom to get into someone else's home, but there was snow that was melting all over the floor from the wheels of her wheelchair, and her wheelchair, learning to navigate her new wheelchair, she would scratch, the door, or bump into someone, or run over their foot. So she started to become isolated because the world that she once knew no longer existed, and it was very different. And we stopped visiting other people. The invitations stopped coming because it was complicated for someone in a wheelchair to be at a party. It was complicated to maneuver all the furniture. It was complicated to see if the entranceway would accommodate my mom's wheelchair. A lot of people had, difficulty lifting her and navigating, lifting a wheelchair up with a person in it. So as a family, we became isolated. The invitations stopped coming. We just sort of started to celebrate on our own, but you always felt empathetic for my mom. And it was something that we all as children felt what it truly felt like for her to be not included. And some of it was on her own accord because she didn't want to be a nuisance to someone else. And a lot of it was the invitations stopped coming because other people didn't know how to help our family. So as I fast forwarded to 2016, I had a real eye-opening moment in my life. I was in a car accident that was traumatic. And you start to ask yourself really good questions like, why us? Why our family? Why all of these sort of catastrophic situations? But then I thought, if not us, well, who's going to do this? And the beauty of having trauma, real trauma in your immediate family's life that's heartfelt and that you have to get through is it makes you stronger. And there's something to be said for what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But I really, Brian, had the privilege of being raised by someone that learned slowly how to overcome, how to adapt, how not to give up. And maybe perhaps it was just my mom having 4 children and her desire to be a true role model. She showed us to persevere. She taught her children, don't sweat the small stuff. And that's how Navy Street was really born. I started to ask myself better quality questions and said, well, what's my contribution to this world? What's the reason that I was born? I don't have any talents. I'm an average person. I grew up in a home trying to help someone who was paralyzed. And it wasn't about me. It was about helping others. And I thought, well, what do I do with all of this information? I don't have any talents. It's not like I was taught how to swim, or I wasn't in ballet class, and I wasn't nurtured in a way that we nurture our children today to rise above. But I watched true trauma and perseverance. And I thought, well, what do I do with this? And when you ask yourself really good quality questions, you actually get really good quality answers. And I asked myself, what am I good at? And at first my brain said nothing. You know, I'm good at showing up. I'm good at loving people. I'm good at helping someone in a wheelchair. But that's not what I thought was resourceful in any way. But then I thought about it a little more carefully and thought, no, that's what molds you is your life and the circumstances. And I said, I'm really good at loving other people. And I'm really good at taking care of someone in a wheelchair. And I have the ability to pick up on what the needs are to help someone. So I thought, well, I have a solution to a problem. I'll just not make it complicated. I'll take something that's really simple. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's something called a portable wheelchair ramp. I know how important it was to our family. It actually made a difference whether we could, visit with a loved one or not. And it made the world of difference when you have people that you love around you. And I thought, well, why don't we just do a couple good deeds and we'll donate them to people that don't even realize that they need them. Perhaps it was someone that just all of a sudden needed to use a wheelchair. Maybe it was an elderly individual that had a stroke and needed some help, or a child that was born with, a disease that was impacting their ability to be mobile. And all of a sudden their parents no longer could, lift them up, and they had to use a wheelchair and navigate this world. So we started donating portable wheelchair ramps, and lo and behold, it took off. People loved the reason why we were doing it, and got picked up by a lot of radio stations and newspapers and magazines. And we told the true story of just a good family wanting to make a difference.
What a wonderful story. If people want to donate to Navy Street Charities, how do they do that? Do you have a website?
Yes, we do. www.navystreet.org. If you just even Google Navy Street Charity, you'll find us.
What a wonderful story. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with Sandra Longo in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. It's a new year. And I wanted to reach out to Sandra Longo, who, if you've been listening to the show so far, you'll know is an incredibly inspirational, motivational person. She's got incredible resilience, taught to her probably by experience with her mother, who, my God, what a story. She went to the hospital to give birth to her 4th child and came home after an epidural with, she was a paraplegic. You hear these stories of people being warned of those challenges. I'm going in for surgery a week from now, and the anesthesiologist had to give me the little story about what the risks were. You never sort of believe them, and you lived them. My gosh, that's incredible. And it sounds like your mother kept a very positive attitude, and you kept a very positive attitude. And you're right, Sandra, that you are who you are because of what you experience over life. And I think it's interesting that you quote that what some people think is a trite saying, but I think it's a really really valid saying about what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The Greeks had a saying about we suffer our way to wisdom. So in other words, to become wise, you've got to have some problems over time. You got to suffer over time, because that's the experiences that help you grow. But the other thing about you that I find really interesting is that you're so inspirational, and you post on social media, wonderful things. And I just wanted to share with everyone a recent post that you posted that I just thought was fantastic. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. You said, "All I want for this time of year is a clear mind, a happy home, laughter with friends, a healthy family, sunshine in abundance, adventures that lift the spirit, memories with my nearest and dearest, a guiding light for those in need, and for every single one of you reading this to know how loved, how valuable, how amazing you truly are." That's beautiful. Did you write that yourself, or did you find that somewhere?
I wrote some of it, and I found some of it. I actually keep a notebook of any inspirational thoughts or messages or writings that I come across. And I think that we need to remind ourselves every day, life is hard enough. And we have to remind ourselves of what we're here for, really, and what we're aiming for. And when I write things like that, I truly mean them from the heart. I mean well. I'm actually a good person on the inside, and I really cultivate that. And I'm also very thankful, and I wanted to mention to you, Brian, I think that when we all go through difficult times, we really couldn't go through them alone. I've been really blessed that I have a great family, and that family extends beyond my mom and my dad. It really is, I've been nurtured by aunts and uncles and grandparents, and we really pull together to make our family better, to get through the tough times, and to remember what to focus on, and how there will be good times ahead, and that bad times will pass. And I think because I have such a great family around me that reminds me of where I'm headed, and to keep my focus on the future as well as now, but on the good things rather than the bad. I think that's really what helped me get through some tough times, but it's what helped my mom. When someone becomes paralyzed, it's a very challenging situation, because it happens in an instant, and you don't have any options. There's no options to navigate around it. You just have to succumb to the situation. That really tests you on every level as a human being. And it took not only my mom to pull out of herself all of her willpower, her desires, her very best self, and to put that forward, but what it also took is her family to really support her, and all of us together to go through it and to become better as a family. No one has to go through anything like that alone. And that's why I am who I am today. It's because of having all of these great, amazing people around me that had to truly persevere. No one goes through this life unscathed. It's just about, how do you handle it? How do you move forward? And I just choose for my legacy to be more of a positive. We can always focus on what's wrong. We can do that every single day. If that's what you look for, that's what you will see. And I just choose to look for the good.
You've gone through your own challenges. I think you said that you had your own car accident. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what happened, and how your positive attitude and resilience helped you with that. And then I understand you also went through a divorce, and how did you get through that? Share with us if you could.
Yes, absolutely. Back in 2015, a year before I started the charity, I was driving to the office. It was in January. It was cold here in Ontario. And that day, black ice had sort of taken over Ontario. And I decided to drive into my office, and I found myself in a terrible, terrible car accident. And it's something that I'm not sure if it was at God's hand or not, but it's something that definitely taught me to persevere. My car hit black ice, and I actually lost control, and it rolled a couple times into a culvert filled with water. So I found myself drowning in a car, and it was something that I never could foresee or anticipate. It was sort of something that was a couple different components thrown together that created a death trap, really. I just dropped my son, who was in, I believe, grade 1, off to school, and I proceeded on my way into work. And all of a sudden, here I was in this situation where I was hanging upside down in my car in a ditch. 2 of my windows had been blown out by my laptop bag that I kept in the back seat. And it was just basically like a mirage of a whole bunch of different situations that were happening at once. And here I was drowning in my car. Water was flooding towards my face. It was locked in my seatbelt. I couldn't get out. I couldn't call for help. But by some miracle, a retired paramedic happened to be the passenger of a vehicle and noticed my headlights from my vehicle underwater, and she did a rescue. And if it wasn't for that divine intervention, I wouldn't be here today.
Oh my God, what a story.
And I suffered a minor spinal cord injury, actually, as a result of that car accident. And when the doctor had told me what had happened and some of the injuries that I had sustained, I thought to myself immediately, why me? Why my family? Another catastrophic sort of event. Now I have a minor spinal cord injury. But instead of focusing on the negative, I just focused on rehabilitation. How do I defy the odds? How do I make this terrible situation even better? And that's really that was really a pivotal moment in my life, because I could hear my mother's voice in my head since I was little about persevering, about not giving up. Life will throw challenges at you, and you need to, pick yourself up, and you have to focus on the good of the situation. And I think that that's really what got me through some really rough times. I had to recuperate for a very long time. I still have a lot of injuries to this day. And I suffer on a daily basis. I have damaged Achilles tendons. I had trapezius muscles torn, lots of different injuries, but I just choose not to focus on that. I focus on the good of what can I do to make this better. So that's sort of how I've gotten really into exercising and taking really good care of myself. I always did. I was into eating healthy and just believed in fresh air and exercise and taking care of myself. But really that accident made me step it up a notch.
You posted, you have to do everything you can. You have to work your hardest. And if you stay positive, you have a shot at a silver lining. What's a silver lining to you?
Love. I think love, if I feel loved and I am loved, I think that's the silver lining, as well as I think we all have a legacy and a purpose. There's a reason that we were born. There's a reason for our lives. And my legacy is just to make this world truly a little bit of a better place. And also to show my own children that you have to persevere, you have to work hard, you have to goal set, you have to decide what it is that you want to do. And even though you're afraid to do it or feel that you're not enough, you actually have to give it your best shot. And you actually have to keep your eye on that focus and never stop, never give up, keep working towards what it is that you want to achieve, whether it's insignificant or not. But if it means something to you, go for it.
How's your mother today? What does she think of your charity?
Actually, my mom's wonderful. My mom's quite the celebrity, and she didn't even realize it. I think people just love, real stories and inspirational people. And she is so inspiring. Not only did she overcome becoming a complete paraplegic 38 years ago, it was at a time, Brian, that nothing was accessible. Our malls, there were not any type of services or anything to help her rehabilitate or recoup or just even to focus on the good and change her mindset, let alone to get into a doctor's office or to go to a restaurant. So I think that she's the most incredible, inspirational woman who's a tough cookie, who doesn't sweat the small stuff in life. I think it's shocking to her sometimes when she goes out into the public and she goes to Costco, people actually recognize her and talk to her all the time. And she's sort of taken back for a moment and didn't think that people would resonate with her story. But I call her my role model. She's my mentor. Whenever I'm having a bad day, I call my mom and she'll immediately tell me to get over it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Get over it. You know, what are you going to do about it? So I think she's incredible and she's doing really, really well.
What a great story. I hope I get to meet her sometime. She sounds like a wonderful person. One of the other things that you've posted about recently, which I found kind of interesting, is growing old and being comfortable and okay with growing old. I'm not sure if you can see the post that you posted just about a week ago. Can you read it for me, or would you like me to read it?
I'd like for you to read it.
Today is the last time I'll be 47 years old. I turned 48 tomorrow. It's in my 48 years, I have birthed 2 children. I have loved and I am loved. I've experienced tremendous loss and heartache. I've also gained a lot of real life experience. These are a few of the great things about turning 48. A woman with class is timeless, and the only way to get it is to age. I do like beauty, but an older woman can be beautiful, and also a clever woman, because that beauty shines through when she's clever. Elegance is when the inside is as beautiful as the outside, and that takes a long time. I live to bake, and I'm getting better at it as I get older. I've learned that my wrinkles will only go where my smiles have been. It has taken me 47 years to embrace my natural curls, learn how to tame them, and I recently found out that I don't mind them. What I know is that every single silver strand on my head is a true gift of real life experience. During my 47 years, I've learned to be forgiving, to say I'm sorry, and to live at peace with everyone. I've also learned that age is something that doesn't matter. No matter what a woman looks like, if she is confident, she is sexy. I now love harder and deeper at this age than any other time in my life. The best that I have found in my 47 years of life is that real love does exist. What a beautiful post. How did you find that real love does exist?
I've been blessed in my life. I have wonderful grandparents. They are everything to me. And I realized that if you give love, you receive it. And I love them wholeheartedly. My grandmother is the most spectacular woman. She is elegant, she's sophisticated, she's classy, she is heartfelt. She's giving and loving and kind. And I watched her and my grandfather live out a true love story. And that's how I know true love does exist, because I watched it every day. When I was growing up and my mother was paralyzed, my grandparents really stepped in to help our family. Family means everything to me. I think it's really important to be surrounded by good people. And I was blessed. I might not have been blessed in other areas of life where, you know, we were able to walk away from trauma, as we had a lot of trauma in our family. However, we had love. And I got to watch it as it grew every single day. And that's how I know it does exist.
With the example of your grandparents, your divorce must have been very hurtful.
I think divorce is always very difficult. Everyone, when you get married, I would like to believe when someone gets married and makes that decision, they believe at that time that they're going to stick with it through thick and thin. Everyone believes in hopes and dreams and wants good. And when I got married, I truly believed that it would be forever. And at that point in time, so it was very difficult to walk away from something that took a long time to build, and to realize that it's not so good and maybe it's not the best decision. So it's very difficult to go through a divorce and to impact others. The reality is your actions do impact others. And I had children, and I knew that my divorce was going to impact my children. And all I could promise them was I was going to do my very, very best to do a great job as a mother, to ensure that I have a good relationship with my ex-husband, and to show my children that no matter what, we will both be there to support them thick and thin.
How long were you married?
Over 20 years.
How did you get through it all?
I think hope, perseverance, looking for the good, benefit of the doubt.
And you're able to have a good relationship with him now?
Yes. Yes. We communicate quite often. We've gone through ups and downs. I think that when you have differences, I think that it's hard to avoid the reality of you are not always going to agree on subjects. However, if you come from a heartfelt place and you truly try to put yourself in the other person's position, I can't get angry. There's moments that I get upset or I disagree when you're parenting together from separate homes and different ideas. But I think that if you really come from a heartfelt place and try to put yourself in another person's position or not to act in a catty way, I think you can persevere. So I do have a good relationship with my ex-husband. My children know that their father and their mother will always be there, and we can sit at the same table and really be there for them. And I think that that's the best thing that I can do as a mother, is to be the very best role model for my children. Children do as they see, not as they're told. So I really believe in acting out and showing them the way.
What a wonderful inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. We're going to take a break and come back more with Sandra Longo in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Sandra Longo, who has really got an inspirational story, both about her mother as well as her own personal story. Her mother survived becoming paraplegic when she gave birth to the fourth child, and was the inspiration for Sandra to start a charity, Navy Street Charities, which donates portable ramps, wheelchair ramps to people. And it sounds like you do a lot of different activities to raise the money, and one of them is baked goods. It's wonderful seeing all the different baked goods. But the other thing about you, Sandra, is that you've come through your own car accident, your own divorce, and maybe some other challenges in life with a very positive attitude toward people and your community and life. And I wanted to share with everyone another post that you've posted recently that I found really quite impactful. And you talked about people that come into your life. The best kind of people are the ones who come waltzing into your life, and all of a sudden you can't remember life without them. The kind of people who feel like sunshine in human form after days in endless rain. The kind of people who believe in you so much it leaves you with little doubt within yourself. The kind of people who love you for everything you are. The kind of people who are the ones that can see straight through the blatant lie that is, I'm fine, and just leaned in and says, how are we going to get through this together? Some people are like shooting stars. They burst through our lives in a spectacular arc. What motivated you to write this?
I've been lucky. I've had some pretty inspirational people walk into my life when I least expected it. I think that when the student is ready, the teacher can appear. When I was actually, there's a really pivotal moment in my life, and there's a woman, and her name is Brenda, and I completely forgot about her. However, she made such an impact on my life. When I was 8 years old, and my mother first came home from the hospital as a paraplegic, we were petrified as children. We didn't know what it meant. Our life had changed. We could feel the energy. It was so negative. It was dark. And when you're 8, you believe in unicorns and rainbows and happy endings. And all of a sudden in my home, that didn't occur. Everyone was whispering of what would happen to my mother and would she overcome the obstacles of being a paraplegic. And there was this woman out of the goodness of her heart from the local church who decided to come and visit our family just from the goodness of her heart. And I remember opening up the front door as an 8-year-old little girl at Christmas time, and I'd never seen her before. She wasn't anyone that I had ever laid eyes on. And she just came and she visited, and she sat at our kitchen table and she smiled. And she sat down, had a cup of tea with my mom. And what she offered to us was just a helping hand, a smile, kindness. And I remember this moment as if it was yesterday, Brian. I thought, when I grow up, I want to be exactly like her. I just want to be someone who cares. And she went away. I never saw her again. I just remembered there was this woman that out of the goodness of her heart just showed up when we needed her. And we didn't even know what we needed from someone else at that time. But the fact that a complete stranger just cared. all of a sudden, after my car accident in 2015, I started volunteering my time, realizing that I wanted to actually be a better person. And instead of just working and doing my own thing, I wanted to start contributing more. And contribution was so important. And I started volunteering my time, different charity events. And I sit down beside a woman as we were distributing name cards and helping people purchase tickets at the front of this charity event. And she asked me, "Why are you volunteering here today?" And I share this story, and I say to her, "Well, there was this woman who came to my house when I was a little girl, and I wanted to be just like her. And it was when my mother became paralyzed. And lo and behold, this was the woman. It was Brenda. This was the woman that 30 years
The same woman.
earlier, not like that. The same woman, I had never laid eyes on her. She still lives in the community in the city of Vaughan. And she'd heard of my mom and my family from the local church and decided to take her own time and pay us a visit. And that moment changed me. It changed me, everything I thought about other people. And I knew that there's truly kind, wonderful people. And that moment changed my life. And it made me want to be just like her. And I never forgot her. And those are the angels, and those are the people that walk into your life that make you better and are the shooting stars. And you don't know why, but I owe everything to this woman. It's really, she was like a Cinderella who walks into my life.
You also posted, "We live longer when we're too busy living."
Mm-hmm.
We live longer when we're too busy living. What does that mean?
I'm really blessed. I have a grandfather who's about to turn 99 years old in January.
99,
and
spectacular.
He's never stopped living. He's always said, you always need something to work towards. You need to be reading something. You always have to be striving to be better. He reads the most amazing books to cultivate his mind and challenge his way of thinking, in his 90s. He always told me, always strive for more. Never give up, never stop living, never stop moving, never stop taking care of yourself. And you never stop learning. And that's what that means, is you need to be busy living. Every day you need to get up and say, this is a brand new day. I can be a bit better than I was yesterday. You need to do everything that you possibly can, whether it's to listen to amazing podcasts or radio shows like what you put on, to read good quality books. You have to keep striving to be better. And even when you falter, that's okay. You just own it and then try again and never give up. And when you're always striving, you're too busy living. You're too busy headed towards a goal, and there's fulfillment there.
So 2022 is upon us.
Mm-hmm.
What suggestions have you got for everyone as they think through a new year? Any rituals that you do, any practices you have, any inspiration that you can provide us for the start of a new year?
Yes, sure. Get up early. I want to say every day, there's a reason why, in the Bible, it talks about the dawn, the beginning of a new day. I think that every single day we get another chance, a new beginning. So that's how I look at it. No matter what happened yesterday, I get up early. I start the day the way I'd like to. So I like to get physical and I like to work out. I like to sit down and have a good cup of coffee. I listen to great quality podcasts, and I read good quality things to get my mind in the right mindset. And I really value putting good quality things into my body. So I eat healthy. I try to eat from the earth and things that give me life. And I think that that's something that you can do as you move into the new year is start with little things, just little things that you can do to make yourself a little more inspired, to put a little skip into your step, and something that makes you feel a little bit better. And I think that's a great place to start.
Get up early.
Get up early.
Sounds good. You had another post that I really quite liked that I think is responsive to this question. Something amazing happened in the last couple of years that I didn't quite see happening. I took the plunge and decided to be more receptive to new things, not necessarily doing everything that I contemplated, but being open. Right as the pandemic occurred, I felt like I was getting a little stale, that if you could open me like a book, the pages that describe my accomplishments, my values, my goals would be a meager 10 pages. So I turned my mind towards different experiences. When you turn your mind onto different ideas and new experiences, something amazing happens. Those ideas and experiences actually occur. Your mind searches for ways to connect with others and to hear their stories. And you begin to listen quietly to this beautiful voice inside of you and just let it take you on a journey. Fair warning, this journey will have you vulnerable, scared, ecstatic, and excited. You will also learn to listen to yourself and to be kind to your own limitations. You learn to be open to you and gentle with your mind and patient with your heart. You strive to stay true to your spirit with high regard for your own well-being and happiness. Quote, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment, end quote. Emerson. Again, another inspirational, very inspirational quote. And it really sounds like the last couple of years you've gone through a metamorphosis. You've become a different person. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I think I was breaking out of the mold of what society told me I should be and what versus what I wanted to be. I think that fear gets in the way. Most people don't think they're enough, that they're not good enough, tall enough, smart enough, beautiful enough. We all have it. I had it. I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I had any talents or anything to offer the world. And I'm not going to pretend I'm any different than anyone else. And I'm really not. I'm just a girl who grew up in a small town in the city of Vaughan, and I was raised by a paraplegic with a loving family. But we went through a lot of rough times and a lot of trauma, major traumas, and that's for another conversation. I don't think that we ever think that we're enough, but if you don't ever get started and attempt to even walk towards your dream, I just don't make mountains out of molehills. And maybe that's because my mother taught me that through her own life and her perseverance. I just start to chip away instead of looking at a brick wall saying, oh, it's daunting to create it or build it. My grandfather taught me, and some good quality books taught me, why don't you just get started by, laying one brick at a time, and let's just lay this brick as perfectly as we can. And before you know it, you've got a brick wall that you built and you don't even know how you did it. And yes, life, threw some challenges at me, but I actually made a key decision. I decided to try. And a lot of people make mountains out of molehills and they don't even get started and they don't try. Whether I succeed or I don't succeed, the fact of the matter is I didn't give up, and I actually worked towards the goals I'd like to accomplish. I started a charity, never thought it's something I could do. Anyone could do it. You just need to find out how to do it and then actually make it happen. I've written 2 books. I wrote a memoir that isn't published yet, but it's written, and I've taken the time. I wrote a children's book that we published and we donate the proceeds. It's called Our Night Sky, which is an incredible children's story that helps a girl who's next door get accessibility using a portable wheelchair ramp. I'm working on a cookbook. It has nothing to do with one or any of the other subjects. However, the proceeds will go to Navy Street Charity and something that I value.
If people want to, sorry, go on.
They're just little things that I've decided that I want to accomplish in my lifetime that matter to me. And everything is always with the purpose of helping Navy Street. And if there's anything that I can do that's going to bring that endeavor to the forefront and help someone else, I'm going to do it. And if I enjoy it along the way, like I love to bake, I didn't know that I would love to bake, but if I could write a cookbook and maybe somebody else will buy it and it'll help them to bake and enjoy it, and then it helps someone else. It's like the throwing a stone in the pond. It's a ripple effect. That's all for the good purpose of helping one another or enjoyment.
Remind us, if we want to donate to Navy Street Charity, how do we do that?
We go to Navy Street Charity. We go to our website, which is www.navystreet.org, and you can donate there.
Sandra Longo, this has been wonderful. We're going to take a final break and come back with some concluding comments in just a minute. Stay with us, everybody.
Sure.
Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're starting a new year, and I can't think, Sandra Longo, of a better person to start this new year with than you. You've been inspirational. You've been motivating. Your story of your mother's challenges and your own challenges have been a little bit scary, quite frankly, but the fact that you've come through them so well, and that you found love again, is it's a wonderful story. So thank you so much for being with us today and sharing this with us. You wanted to say something about what you think COVID-19 has taught us all. Tell us.
For the first time in our lives, for able people that can go about their daily life and just enter the world, we've all become isolated. And I, on behalf of everyone that lives with mobile disabilities or uses a wheelchair, the one thing that they can tell you is their life, they are isolated. This world isn't built for people that are in wheelchairs. It's not completely accessible. And I said, oh, how interesting is it for the very first time we're all isolated? This is what it must feel like with my mother, who hasn't been able to fully have access to other people's homes, to communities, to the mall, different places that are really truly limited. We actually understand for the very first time what it feels like for someone who is confined to their own home. We need to make this world a better place, and we have to remember to help our neighbors and our loved ones, and to put ourselves in a position of how can we help. And the way that we can help is to really put ourselves in their shoes and do something that really makes this world a better place. And COVID-19 really highlighted that for me, because my mother's been stuck inside her home for a very long time and isn't freely able to visit and to go to other places. And this is the first time that I've actually experienced it myself, where I don't have the freedom to just go and be and do as I please. And it makes me really resonate with her on a daily basis, because it's hard for us to get over the emotional barriers, and we really need to put ourselves in a position to understand so we can help and become better and help people to have a better life.
You know, it's kind of ironic, I guess. COVID-19 has been terrible for lots of people, and I can't for a second diminish the impact on small businesses, restaurants, retail, et cetera, that have been devastated because of lockdowns. And you know, unquestionably, there's been a lot of people that have lost loved ones, and even people who've got sick that are going to have long COVID impacts for a long period of time. And so all that has been incredibly negative. That said, I think you're right, actually, that you know, we've had sort of this, and other people have called it this, a collective timeout, where we've had to go to our room and think about life. And I think we've thought about, you know, what's important, and interaction with people is so critically important, and we've missed that. And you know, you've told us the story about how critically important family and friends were to you and your family when your mother first had her challenges, and how important love is, and how important a positive attitude is, and those things are challenging when you're isolated all alone. And so I think we've been reminded during the last year and a half of our forced time out about what's important in life. And I want to, if I could, leave with one last inspirational quote that you posted, with a beautiful picture, by the way. Not sure who needs to read this today. You lack nothing. Use what God gave you. Explain. What do you mean by that? You lack nothing. Use what God gave you.
I think we often get in our own way. We often think that we're not enough, and that we don't have what it is that we need to succeed or to become whoever it is that we want to become. I think we all lack nothing. I think that everyone has what it takes, whatever it is that's unique to you. You have it. You were born with it. Just believe in yourself, believe in your mission. And I think go for it.
Believe in yourself, believe in your mission, go for it. Great words to start 2022 by Sandra Longo. Thank you for sharing with us, sharing your story, and sharing your inspiration. Believe in yourself. You have what you lack nothing. Use what God gave you. Go for it. Wonderful words to start 2022 with. Thank you for joining us. And please remember, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online at www.saga960am.ca. You can get all my podcasts and videocasts on my website, briancrombie.com. My videos are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and my podcasts are on Apple, Audible, and Speakeasy. Sandra Longo, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you. Thank you so much for joining us. And Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you so much. What an honor. What a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.